So you'll remember our definition of authentic manhood. An authentic man is one who rejects passivity, one who accepts responsibility, one who leads courageously, and one who invests eternally. Now, Alfonso, with that definition in mind, what has that meant to you as you've studied this authentic manhood program?
Well, seeing it put like that, it has caused me to have a tremendous amount of introspection as to why we need to do some of the things that we do. And those different points just really quantifies what we need to be doing to help our families and to help the world at large. And to, especially on the last one, to invest eternally is basically to be a disciple, to go tell it on the mountain like Jesus has told us to do. Tell everybody that we know, to let them hear our testimony. And I think that's what it's all about.
How has it helped you create real results in your life?
Well, it has caused me not to be so afraid to talk to people regarding the things of God, regarding my own personal testimony and how God has brought me from where I was to where I am now and where I hope to go through His knowledge and the wisdom that He has given me.
Why should a man participate with us in this program?
Well, first of all, I think a man should participate in this program is because he can learn a lot about himself. You know, a lot of times we think we know ourselves, but sometimes we really don't. And we can look and we can see with all the other men that are participating in the program and see some of the same stories that we have in our lives. And also, God has allowed us to go through certain things, certain crises that we can help them with or that they can help us with now. Because as we go through life, we don't just go through things for ourselves. Yes, it makes us strong, but it can help someone else. And that's what the Christian experience is all about.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. I'm ready, David.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Carl, just remembering our definition of authentic manhood, what has this meant to you? What has this meant to you in your life, being an authentic man, one who rejects passivity and one who accepts responsibility, etc.? How has that impacted you?
Well, we had to reject passivity because we are family men and we have a whole lot of people grabbing at our family, trying to take us down. It helped us set up foundation that needed to be established going forth. I had to break some strongholds that were holding me back, and it helped in the family dynamics, and it makes me appreciate being a man and all the responsibility with me. It gives me a grounding, grounding.
Mm-hmm. How has it helped you create some real results? Do you have any examples of where, you know, the learnings from this program really helped you develop some real clear results in your life?
Yeah, I had to establish a boundary that hadn't been set forth clearly in my past, and going forward in my future, I needed to have that boundary set, and it was rough there for a minute, but the results have been very positive. There had to be a breaking before there was a healing, and it all worked out. So.
Good. Why should a man in our congregation get involved in the Authentic Manhood program?
There's all kinds of definitions out here, and not everything is biblically based, and at the same time it allows you to be a man without being come across as weak. So it enhances your strength that you already have.
Good. Okay, well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Luce and
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay.
All right.
So Trevor, tell me, how has this Authentic Manhood program really had an impact on your life recently?
Well, this program, to me, just really opened up the door for answers in my life. You know, from the time that this program started, it talked about the beginning, what role Adam played, what role Eve played, and it spoke about all these roles and from the industrial age to all these different ages, and it really helped me to basically dig deep down and ask those questions that I either was afraid to ask or I didn't want to ask, and to really search for those answers. And once I found those answers, it really helped me to show, okay, how can I apply these answers now to my life to make me a better person when it comes to being this authentic manhood.
Are there any specific examples that you can think of where you've been able to really create real results in your life based on the learnings from the program?
I think my relationship with my mom, I think at that time when we touched on mothers, the role that mothers play in our lives, and we touched on the roles dads play in our lives, and before then I thought everything was good. You know, I knew there were some issues there, but it showed me, hey, I need to create some boundaries, and it showed me that there were some hidden feelings that were still there when it came to my dad not being part of my life, and it showed me how to deal with those feelings and how to attack those feelings head on, and how to sit down with my father and have a face-to-face conversation on the stuff that really matters.
If there's a guy out here listening to you now that's got some challenges with what he's trying to do and keeping his life in balance and et cetera, what would you say to him about participating with this program?
I say, come on, man. This program it's a blessing. You know, from the first day that I sat foot in, came into the class and sat down and listened to what was going on, what was said, and the teachings, and listened to some of the stories that the brothers around me was speaking on. It really makes you reject that need to be passive, and it really makes you take up responsibility for what you need to do, you know, when it comes to you being a man, a true man, a godly man, you know, and it just really helps you to plant that seed for the brothers who have families, who have wives. It's an excellent program for that. Excellent.
What about the brothers who have sons?
Oh,
Like you?
It's
As a dad.
It's teaching me how to be a better and greater father. You know, my father wasn't around, so my one goal is to be a great father to my son, no matter what. Just be there for him, you know, love him and teach him and just raise him up the way God would want me to raise him up.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, Gary, thinking about the definition of the authentic man, like we went through, one who rejects passivity, one who accepts responsibility, one who leads courageously, and one who invests eternally. How has that definition made a difference in your life since you've been involved in the Authentic Manhood program?
Well, I think for me, it was like a wake-up call. It helped give me clarity about my responsibilities as a man, and more importantly, not so much in society, but in God's eyes. And things like being a leader, you know, at home, in society, and in church, you know, things like taking care of things that are really important in life that have a true meaning, like your family, you know, your kids, raising your kids, that type of thing.
Are there any specific examples that you can share with us where you've been able to create some real results in your life based on the learnings from the group?
Yeah, I have an employee that was really going through a hard time in her life, and I noticed that she had changed, her demeanor had changed, and she wasn't herself, and you know, she really wasn't getting along. She told me at home with people in her personal life, I could tell, and at work, she was having issues at work. And I went and talked to her. I could have easily reprimanded her because her performance had started to slide and she wasn't really the same person. But I thought about it and took her aside and talked to her and just told her, you know, I've been knowing her for a long time. And I've seen some changes in her. And I asked her, has she been going to church? And she told me that she hadn't been in church. She started crying and told me that she was having a lot of problems at home. And, you know, that kind of rolled over into the work atmosphere. And so I ministered to her for about 30 minutes and talked about, you know, the importance of Jesus and asked her if she'd been to church, and she said she hadn't been. And after we had that talk, the following week she came down to the Ray of Hope, and she actually joined and became a member of the church. And I talked to her the other day, and it's funny, she was a part-time employee, and it's funny how God changes things, and now she's been offered full-time employment, and so it's kind of changed her life, and you know, I see the old person that I used to see before. So.
What a great story about leading courageously. That's the definition, right?
Yep,
leading
that's right.
courageously in the workplace. Well, listen, if there was something that you could say to a guy who was sitting out here and wanting to feel more connected and more balanced in his life, what would you say to him about participating in our group?
Well, I would say that for those men that are out there that feel like they don't have a purpose or they don't know what the responsibilities are as a man, I think that they should attend the program, go through the program, because it will give them a sense of what God sees them in as far as being a man in his eyes.
Well, good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And invest internally.
Okay, I'm rolling.
Okay, so what has the group meant to you in the time that you participated, thinking about what it means to be an authentic man? What has this group meant to you?
I think the sessions have helped put things in perspective. There's a lot of aspects of your life, both past, and present. But I think the sessions have helped kind of put it in a frame and put it in sequence and show relationships of how different things can impact different things. And I think that's been very helpful and reflective.
Our retreat coming up is dealing with real men and real results. Real men and real results. Are there any specific examples that you can think of that were situations where you created some real results based on some learnings that you got from our group?
I think I would have to go back to, we did the father wounds and the mother wounds was part of the sessions, and that was very deep, and I noticed how it affected a lot of brothers. And me personally, I had some things that I thought were resolved, but it kind of brought it back to the surface and to the table to realize, yeah, maybe not as solved or resolved as I thought they were. There were still some emotions attached to some feelings that kind of came back up. And it was interesting because right after that I had some interactions with my father, and I kind of went back to the session, and it really reconfirmed how God expects us to forgive. And you can look at your father when you're a father and see the frailties in yourself and that you're not perfect. And it kind of makes you easier for you to look at your father and forgive him for things and accept him for the man and the father who he is.
How do you think the groups work with each other, the participants in the groups work with each other to sort of reinforce each other's learnings? I mean, how did that work out for you?
I think that part was also very informative. The part of the session that talked about the different stages of manhood, from spring and different seasons, the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. And I think to have, in our group, I would say there's a lot of fall, but there's a couple spring and a few winters, and to see how the perspectives are different in these different seasons, as well by design they need to be. And so you can look and set expectations around, at this stage in your life, what is it that you should be doing? How should you be thinking? What should you accomplish? What should your relationships be? And I think it was a good check and balance just for you to have a check sheet to see, hey, I'm behind, I'm ahead, I got to go back and do something. And then, as you well know, how aspects of certain seasons, just how in life's plan for you, God's plan for you, may not happen in that season. It may be delayed and happen in a later season. And you have to make those adjustments to make that happen.
Yeah, that session on fathers was particularly deep when we really got into our relationships with our fathers.
Yeah.
What did you take out of these sessions in terms of what will make you a better father? You have your own children. What makes you a better father now?
I think the thing I took away with is you have to be intentional. It's not just by luck, by chance, you just happen to do something. You have to be intentional about what God has called you in the different roles of as father, as husband, as brother, as son-in-law, as uncle, as nephew. I mean, whatever role that you have to be intentional about that.
and you only have so much time to focus. I think we talked about that at the prayer breakfast, about out of all these roles we play, you know, how do you take time to partition them to give each role the right amount of time at the right time, you know, to get the outcomes that you want. So I thought that was important too.
Good. What would you say to a guy who's sitting out in our audience that really needs to be more connected about participating with what we're doing?
I would say that give it a chance. It's more than what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. And it will give you a chance to connect with other brothers that are going through similar challenges and obstacles and successes and failures in life. And it just helps you relate to see that you're not alone.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brother Mike.
Thank you.
All right.
About the group that we've been in, the Authentic Manhood group, where we focused on the definition of an authentic man, one who rejects passivity, one who accepts responsibility, one who leads courageously, and one who invests eternally. What has that meant to you to participate in that group with those kinds of principles?
Yeah, it's meant quite a bit to my life, and for me, what it really has challenged me to do is embrace my godly assignment in both my family and my community, and also to be actively involved, not just present, but actively involved in both of them. So from that standpoint, it's truly been a blessing, the program has.
Really? Have there been particular examples on our retreat coming up? We're dealing with real men and real results. Can you think of an example where you've really created some real results in your life here recently, based on some learnings that you've gotten from our group?
The results have been profound. Really, it's changed the way that I communicate with my wife. I also think that it definitely changed the way I felt about my father, who chose to be absent in my life. But I think most profoundly, it's affected the way that I communicate with my 9-year-old son about what it means to be a man.
Right. So then the perspective you're taking out of it is not only your relationship with your dad, but the principles that make you a better father. Is that what you're saying?
Without a doubt, because if you have children, I think one of the tenets of authentic manhood is being the best father you possibly can be.
Should another man participate with us in what we're trying to do here?
Oh, without a doubt.
Why should he?
Because I think this program is just phenomenal. I think we have far too many men who have been turned away, locked up, or gunned down because they're holding on to a worldly definition of what being a man is all about. And what this program does is it affords you the opportunity to redefine what manhood is in a godly perspective rather than a worldly perception. So one of the things I absolutely loved about the group is that all of our conversations are biblically based, but we don't get lost in theology. It's real and it's raw, and if you give it an opportunity, it'll change your life.
It's real life stuff. Good. Well, thank you very much for participating.
Right, thank you.
Okay.